All right, buckle up everyone for another deep dive. Today we're really getting into that sometimes tricky space where media, politics, and military stuff all intersect.
Hmm.
Our mission for you, listening in, is to help unpack a pretty sharp critique we found. It's about how information around, big events gets presented.
Yeah, and the specific source we're digging into today, it's an excerpt from a YouTube video. The title is Pete Hegseth Slams Media for Cheering Against Trump So Hard. It's
Okay.
from the Channel 4 News channel, and it definitely offers a, let's say, very direct take on how media coverage is perceived by some.
Right. Okay. So let's get right into the thick of it. The core argument that Pete Hegseth makes in this clip is this idea that some people in the press are seen as actively cheering against certain politicians.
Yeah, actively hoping they fail,
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly. And the video argues this feeling, this desire for a political figure not to be successful, it actually shapes their reporting,
Mm.
specifically how they cover military successes.
And this is where it gets interesting, the how.
Yeah, the source really dives into the alleged tactics used.
Right. It's fascinating because the claim isn't always about, like, outright lies. It's suggesting something maybe more subtle.
Hmm.
Things like half-truths, spun information, leaked information. The video claims these are used to, and this is a direct quote, cause doubt and manipulate the public mind
Manipulate regarding what specifically?
regarding how effective military actions actually are. The source explicitly asks, does the media want a certain leader to fail?
And therefore, they undermine the strikes.
That's the claim, that it leads to undermining the efficacy of these strikes.
Yeah.
Which, it really makes you wonder, okay, if that's the narrative being pushed, what details are maybe getting glossed over or just left out entirely?
And that's precisely where the source goes next. It points to some very concrete examples of things it says are, well, noticeably absent from a lot of the reporting.
Like what, for instance?
Well, the video argues there's not enough focus on just how incredibly difficult and, frankly, sophisticated these military operations are. For example, it asks, have we really heard enough about the challenge of, say, flying a plane for 36 hours? I mean, think about the endurance, the logistics,
Mid-air refueling.
mid-air refueling,
Mm.
or the complexity of shooting a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35.
Right, hitting a small moving target from a high-speed jet.
Exactly. Not easy. Or what about the skill needed to man a Patriot battery? Those advanced air defense
That
systems.
requires incredible precision teamwork.
Totally. And coordinating that mid-air refueling we mentioned, the source argues that these kinds of details, they're actually crucial for the American public to grasp how complex and sophisticated this mission really was.
It connects this lack of focus back to the bigger picture, right?
Mhm.
The source asserts that this perceived, well, it uses the strong word, hatred of this press corps
Mm-hmm.
ultimately serves to undermine the actual people doing the job, the brave men and women in uniform.
It names specific roles, too, doesn't it?
It does. It talks about incredible B-2 pilots, incredible F-35 pilots, incredible refuelers, incredible air defenders. People who, according to the source, pulled off really significant missions, like setting back a nuclear program.
And there's another layer here about information itself.
Yes, a really pointed claim that classified information sometimes gets leaked or peddled for political purposes.
Meaning?
Meaning, the source alleges the goal is specifically to make a political leader look bad instead of actually, celebrating what the military achieved.
Wow, okay. So tying this all together, what's the takeaway here for you, the listener? This deep dive, looking closely at the specific source, it really highlights a strong critique.
A critique of how media bias, or at least the perception of it, might be influencing how we all understand really complex situations, especially military ones.
Yeah, it forces us to think about the fact that news isn't always just a list of facts. It's often about the framing, the lens.
Right, the lens it's presented through. And that can definitely shape perception.
So here's something to mull over as we wrap up.
In this world where we're just saturated with information, constantly, how does understanding critiques like this one, the idea that coverage might be driven by things beyond just the facts on the ground, how does that shape your own critical thinking?
Especially when you're reading or watching news about national security, about the military, about the achievements of service members.
Yeah, what stands out to you about the responsibility involved in conveying that kind of information